Hello everyone. I just made a video listing the top 10 most intense roller coasters I've been on so far. While that list included some of my favorite rides, it wasn't a full representation of what I consider to be the best. Just because a ride is intense doesn't mean it's world class. National Roller Coaster Day just passed a few days ago, so I thought it would be fun to rank my top 10 favorite roller coasters to celebrate the holiday. As of right now, I only have 57 credits, so in a way, this video is also a celebration of my 50th credit, which was Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags over Georgia. I haven't been on any rides outside the US yet, and it will probably be a while longer before I'm able to do so all these rides are in the United States. Before we dive in, I want to give a shout out to 3 great coasters that just missed my list. Thunderhead at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee just barely missed my top 10. This 2004 GCI Woody reminds me a lot of Mystic Timbers at Kings Island. The airtime is non-stop and the pacing is incredible. It also tracks very smoothly these days. We'll discuss why Mystic Timbers beats this ride later, spoiler alert, but I am a huge fan of this ride. The second honorable mention is the Beast at Kings Island in Mason, Ohio. I feel like this coaster needs no introduction. It's truly a bizarre and amazing ride. It's the longest wooden roller coaster in the world by track length, and it takes you through a journey in the woods that feels never ending. I have a lot of love for the Beast. It has the most unique wooden roller coaster layout of any I've done so far, but the reason it didn't quite make my list is its tendency to be a bit rough at times. Sometimes this ride really hurts me, and other times it's perfectly fine. Either way, it's been around since 1979 and still proves to be one of the best rides in the world. Last but not least is Goliath at Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. This 2014 RMC Woody is tall, fast, and very intense, and it almost made my list, but there was one ride at Great America that stole its spot. I love the out-of-control feeling this ride has while remaining mostly smooth. Although it didn't make my top 10, it does have 2 of the coolest inversions I've ever experienced on a ride and some insane airtime. I feel this coaster is disliked by some enthusiasts, but I'll always love it. Now, let's get into my top 10. At number 10 is Thunderbird at Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. Thunderbird is a 2015 B&M wing coaster with a 60-mile-per-hour LSM launch at the start. There are 4 inversions, with the 0G roll and inline twist being especially great. To be honest, I was underwhelmed the first time I rode this ride. However, upon a back row re-ride, I was impressed. The launch is much more powerful than you expect. It's nothing like the launch on Max Force at Great America, but it'll still knock the wind out of you. If you didn't know already, the seats are on either side of the track, so you feel very exposed throughout the ride. I will admit that the near-miss elements aren't as great on this ride as they are on something like X-Flight, but the ride's amazing pacing and whippy inversions make up for it. Thunderbird also has a great setting in the woods that takes it to the next level for me. Sure, it's not a very long ride, nor is it super intense, but it's definitely the best wing coaster I've been on. It's glass smooth and always leaves me feeling satisfied. Coming in at number 9 is Goliath at Six Flags over Georgia in Austell, Georgia, not to be confused with Goliath at Great America or Magic Mountain or La Ronde. Seriously, there's way too many rides with this name. Goliath is a 2006 B&M hypercoaster with a height of 200 feet, a drop of 175 feet, and a top speed of 70 miles per hour. I do have to admit, this ride might be better than I think it is because I only got 2 rides on it. The fact that I thought it was that good after 2 rides likely means it has even better days. In the back row, the airtime is non-stop. There's no mid-course brake run, so the train never slows down. The way it travels outside the park and back in is really cool. Shockingly, I thought the floater airtime in the first half was actually the highlight of the ride, although the second half is great too. The ride does rattle a little bit, but it doesn't cause any pain. Other B&M hypers are smoother, but it really doesn't matter when the layout is this good. At number 8 is a very special ride, Mystic Timbers at Kings Island in Mason, Ohio. Mystic Timbers is a 2017 GCI Woody with a height of 109 feet, a drop of 98 feet, and a top speed of 53 miles per hour. Everything I said about Thunderhead at Dollywood is true about Mystic Timbers, although I prefer this ride because it seems to have a slightly more intense first half, and the setting is far superior. I love the way this ride flies through the forest, ejecting you from the seat every few seconds. It's literally non-stop fun and excitement. I said this ride is special because it was the first thrill coaster I rode that permanently changed my DNA. It made me into an enthusiast, so I'll forever be indebted to it for that reason. Furthermore, the shed is actually pretty cool. I know it's not like Disney level or anything, but it's better than having a normal brake run, and I like the lore surrounding it and the entire ride's theme basically being an unsolved mystery. When I visit Kings Island, this is usually the ride I re-ride most because it's also the very smoothest wooden ride I've ever been on. I can find almost no flaws with this ride. Next up in 7th place is Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags over Georgia in Austell, Georgia. Twisted Cyclone is a 2018 RMC hybrid composed of the steel iBox track. It has a height of 100 feet, a drop of 96 feet, and 3 inversions. This ride is the definition of short but sweet. I went in thinking it would be good, but pale in comparison to rides like Goliath at Great America and Lightning Rod at Dollywood, which are both much taller. However, this thing hauls. It feels very similar to Mystic Timbers actually. The airtime is non-stop. There's an impressive wave turn after after the turnaround, which is easily my favorite part of the ride. The inversions are all smooth and graceful. The only downside of the ride is it's very short, but because the layout is a bit more creative, I do slightly prefer it to Mystic Timbers, which is why it lands one spot above. Also, this is by far the smoothest ride I've ever been on. It's not even close. I've never felt such a sense of ease on any other ride, and I rode it in the front and back rows and got the same world-class experience. Kudos to you, RMC. At number 6 is Diamondback at Kings Island in Mason, Ohio. Diamondback is a 2009 B&M hypercoaster with a height of 230 feet, a drop of 215 feet, and a top speed of 80 miles per hour. I'll admit, I've had a few underwhelming rides on this one, but the rides I've gotten in the very front and very back both impressed me so much I had to move this coaster up my list. For the time being, I slightly prefer it to Goliath at Over Georgia, but only time will tell if my opinion changes. I've been on Diamondback dozens of times, so I may be biased. The seating arrangement is different from the other B&M hypers I've been on. There are 2 seats per row, making you feel far more exposed than usual. The drop is very steep, and you seem to hang over the top for a while before it lets go. I've always found this ride to be a bit intimidating, and I really think the seating arrangement is what causes that. The first few airtime hills are very forceful. I usually gray out a bit. There are several other good airtime hills after this, and a scenic splashdown to end the ride with some great presentation. Sure, the second half can be a bit slow, but I'll always have a soft spot for this ride. Heading to Area 72 in the same park is my number 5 coaster, Orion. Kings Island got lucky and has a great hyper and giga coaster. In fact, it also has one of the best Woody collections too. One already made this list, and my honorable mentions. So yeah, Kings Island is definitely a favorite place of mine. Orion beats them all out in my opinion. It was built in 2020, has a height of 287 feet, a drop of 300 feet, and consists of several high-speed elements that blast your face with 91 mph wind. The drop is basically straight down, and it really tosses you out of your seat. There's a speed hill in the middle of the ride that tries to eject you to the skies more violently than any other ride in this park. The helix near the end has caused me to almost pass out before, and in fact, I almost put this ride on my top 10 most intense list because of that one element. Apart from that, this ride is a graceful speed machine. It is a little bit on the short side, and I'm sure once I ride Fury 325 or Pantherian, I'll see why people prefer those gigas to this one, but for now, it sits comfortably in my top 5. This next one is going to turn some heads, I think, but in 4th place is Raging Bull at Six Flags Great America, located in Gurnee, Illinois. When I said one ride beat out Goliath at the same park, this is the one I was talking about. On paper, this ride is nothing special. In fact, many claim that this is one of the weakest B&M hypers. It was built in 1999 and is only the second of its kind, but somehow has the best back row ride of any ride I've ever been on. On top of that, I got a few rides at the beginning of the season during which the mid-course brake run was dialed down by a lot. It was basically turned off, and the ride flew through the second half of the course like a bat out of hell. If I hadn't gotten those lucky rides, I don't know if this ride would be in my top 5, but it sure is now. Raging Bull has a height of 208 feet, a drop of 202 feet, and a track length of 5,057 feet. The ride feels very long, which is another aspect I love about it. Unlike Diamondback and Goliath, Raging Bull focuses on a combination of turns and airtime. The layout is far more twisty than other hypers. I actually appreciate that about this ride because it's unique. Also, the few moments of airtime it does offer are all absolutely fantastic, especially the drop at the beginning, the camelback that follows, and the drop off the mid-course. There's also no seatbelt, which makes the airtime even better. It's flawlessly smooth as well, despite its age. I just love this thing and can't seem to get enough of it. In 3rd place is the Voyage at Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. Unlike its neighbor, Thunderbird, which is short but sweet, the Voyage is a staggering 6,442 feet of classic Gravity Group goodness. It's definitely a bit on the rough side sometimes, being a Woody and all, but considering the fact that it was built in 2006, it's held up incredibly well. The maintenance team at Holiday World does a great job maintaining it. It has a height of 159 feet, a drop of 154 feet. It doesn't seem to lose a drop of speed throughout the entire layout. The second half actually feels even more insane sometimes than the first half does. The ride begins with some strong floater airtime hills, then proceeds to bombard you with endless ejector airtime, laterals, violent turns, and non-stop fun. It truly does feel like a Voyage, especially with its setting in the woods and its many tunnels. I don't think it's up for debate. The Voyage is easily one of the best roller coasters in the world, and it's also one of the most intense and relentless experiences out there. For the longest time, my number 2 spot was in 1st place. It wasn't until last month that this ride finally got dethroned, and it's still so good that I can't help but keep it in 2nd place. That ride is Lightning Rod at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Lightning Rod is a 2016 RMC hybrid with a drop of 165 feet and a top speed of 73 miles per hour. Yes, of course, this ride used to have a launched lift hill. From what I hear, that was really the main reason the ride was so good, but I've only ridden the ride since it was changed to a chain lift. I can't even imagine what the experience was like with the launch, because this thing seriously murders me every time I ride it. There's a small pre-drop at the beginning that allows you to take in the beautiful mountainous landscape before you're tossed down a ravine. The wave turn that follows is very intense. You hang sideways for a crazy amount of time. Several pops of sideways ejector happen after this at such violent speeds it feels like you'll crash. There's a famous series of ejector airtime hills as you climb down the mountain called the quad down. These hills are absolutely relentless. If the layout itself wasn't so badass, the incredible setting would be enough to elevate it pretty high. I just love everything about this ride. It feels insanely out of control, but isn't rough either. What could possibly take its place? Well, that title belongs to Air Force One at Fun Spot America, Atlanta. This park and this ride are both permanently closed, unfortunately, which means I may never ride this formidable creation again. It only took one ride on Air Force One for me to know that it was my favorite. It's unclear whether it will be relocated or not, but I think going forward, I'll probably always include it in my list, even if it's scrapped, because it deserves to live on forever. Air Force One is a 2023 RMC hybrid made from steel iBox track that has a height of 154 feet, a drop of 146 feet, and 4 inversions. The whole thing feels unbelievably out of control. Again, there's no roughness to be had, but the pacing is just insane, and every element hits so hard. The drop, Raven Trust Dive, and Zero G Stall are all great, but what comes after it is what had me breathless. The long wave turn to the right is still my favorite moment on any ride, period. I genuinely thought I would fly out. There's a double up afterwards with some insane airtime as you're flung down into a 0G roll. This 0G roll feels comically fast. It's almost overkill, but in a good way. There's a series of powerful bunny hills at the end that, again, feel like overkill, but they are so amusing and fun that they had me laughing maniacally every time. I can't say enough positive things about this ride. It's long, fast, furious, bold, creative, and deserves a better home so it can get the ridership it deserves. I don't see anything else knocking this ride out of first place anytime soon. And with that, we've made it to the end of my list. If you liked this video, consider liking and subscribing, as it helps me in my mission to get on more rides and make more content like this. With all that being said, thanks for watching.